Well, I think my main issue would obviously be education and the barriers that students are facing at the moment to education. There's endless amount of barriers I could talk about. There's fees are €3,000, that really causes a massive barrier for students trying to access education. And I'm sure a lot of people know that the SUSI grant is quite a lengthy application as well. But if you are lucky enough to get SUSI no longer covers the cost of living for a student because it hasn't been reinstated since before 2012. So the cost of living has went up, but the SUSI grant hasn't. So they don't even match now at the moment. So even those students who are getting the SUSI grant are still struggling to come to college and pay for their fees and pay for their lunches because they're not getting enough money. And then of course the students who are paying the £3,000, they're really struggling because they have to fork out £3,000 every year, and then obviously as well the extra costs that come with college. So there's that, and then there's the cost of accommodation to come to Dublin. So I always say to the students, like, if you take a look around the rooms, you'll see an empty seat in every room, and that's probably belonged to a student from the country who just couldn't afford the cost of living and the cost of accommodation here in Dublin. So that's a big massive one. And then transport would be another thing I would link in on, and the cost of transport for students to come to college who are travelling maybe further than Tallaght or Lucan or Clondalkin to come here. I think it's extremely important that students use their vote and vote in this general election. I'm sure a lot of students have noticed that there's been a lack of conversation around education in the manifestos, and there's been a lack of kind of candidates speaking about the importance of education and what they're going to do for education. So I think that the young people need to get out there, vote, and show the candidates that the young people should be taken seriously and they should be listened to. The young people got out and they voted during repeal, and they got out and they voted during yes equality, and they made a massive transformation in the history of this country. And I think the young people need to get out and do the exact same thing again this general election and make sure that they have their voices heard.